And by the way, that's what I mean. You want to talk about what signals new era in NXT? Carmelo written off in that steel cage match last week. Dragunov out tonight. Dragunov, a nice moment with him hugging and kissing Trick after the match. Also, I thought. But we're going into Battleground. We're going into the draft and then Battleground. Like, this is fresh, man. I mean, we're talking about a different NXT in 2 weeks from tonight. Is not going to be the NXT we know anymore.
I'm curious if they're going to make it like they're going to be part of the draft, like the same way that Raw and Smackdown. Like, are they going to have their own draft picks? Are they going to be able to pick from that pool?
Look how much Ava's been on TV. Look at the fact she's been showing. She was at SmackDown. Like, oh, I'm here scouting people for the draft.
Well, I think she was a guest of her dad's.
Okay, first off, how dare you? She's earned this herself.
Yeah.
I will not have Nepo baby talk about Ava. But I think that let's talk about this. Let's talk about our predictions for the draft. George, I want from you 3 NXT talents that you think are going to get called that have not previously been asked. You can't say Carmelo.
Yeah, I think Ilya and Carmelo are so predictable that they have to automatically be disqualified from any kind of I think they're going to get called up. The first person I see getting called, not the first person, but one name that I think is going to get called up. I think it's going to be shocking to everybody. And based on what I saw tonight, I was totally impressed. And that's Lola Vice.
Wow.
I think they need somebody like her that has her kind of pizzazz. That doesn't, I don't want to say need, but that doesn't have the faction presence behind her. Because obviously you have some Latinas on the roster. You have, Zelina Vega, Elektra Lopez, and they have that LWO Legado faction with them. But I think somebody like a Lola Vice can totally stand on her own, and I really truly see her doing some great things in the near future. I think next week she's gonna win against Natty, and by that time we're gonna know that she's already gonna be coming up to maybe Monday Night Raw.
Okay. Who else do you think?
Another one I had, another woman, Lyra. I think Lyra Valkyria. Yeah, I think it's her time. She's done. She was a great NXT Women's Champion. She showed that she can hang with, Tiffany Stratton, Becky Lynch, and all those ladies. There's really nothing else for her to do. And it's interesting because they're treating like NXT as a third brand. Now, I want to know your opinion as well, because I still look at NXT as a developmental brand. So I feel like when you really have nothing much else to do in NXT, then you got to come up to the main roster. You can't just flounder there just because they're still trying to build the third brand. But for the most part, I think Lyra's done her job and she's ready to come up.
Interesting. I think we're gonna get on the men's and women's side. I want to get your third pick in a second, but I think we are gonna get a couple of those too soon curveballs. Where it's like, oh, they just see. I don't think it's going to be Sol Ruka. I think Sol might be earmarked for that North American Women's Championship. But I'm actually going to say, I think they might surprise us all and just call up Carmen Petrovich. She can wrestle really well. Good character, good look, stacked division. So much competition in the women's division. I could see them calling up Carmen because they're like, oh, she'll play well on the main roster. Unique look, unique presence. We can get behind this. And she's still enough of a blank slate that aside from that sword, they feel that they can do something with her on the main roster that'll be fresh and new. On the men's side, if I had to say there's going to be a curveball, I think it might be OTM. Like, I think Jada will stay behind, but I could see OTM just getting called up. And, but unfortunately, I think they're going to be in that. They'll have a dominant first match, but then they will be in that sort of just, go nowhere feuds. But because they'll play well on the main roster.
Yeah, that's Carmen wouldn't surprise me. She's got a very unique look. I think she's got that Canadian, but also I think she's from like Hungary, or she's kind of maybe that Eastern European. I feel like she's from one of those places.
She talked about getting her U.S. Something. She's Canadian, but where is she from originally?
I think she's originally
Bosnia.
From
Bosnia. Yeah, there you go.
So I mean, I think they haven't really had many Eastern Europeans on the main roster, but one person I do think shows that he can do something is Josh Briggs. I feel like he's got a nice physical presence about him. He can talk, he can go. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up this weekend.
Character reboot?
Yeah.
Little maybe Stone Cold, sort of like he's drinking beer, just a working man who likes to throw down.
Yeah.
Get in a fight on Friday night.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any like bar fighters anytime recently, and maybe he might kind of fits the role a little bit.
Poor other guy whose name I forget.
Brooks Jensen.
Yes. What about, okay, so here's one that could be weird. What if Duke Hudson gets called up, but not Chase U?
Ooh. He kind of had that brief hiccup, like back when 2020 was such a weird year. Because he was out there teaming with like a Shane Thorne.
Yeah.
Right before he became what was he? I can't remember which one he was. It wasn't Crowbar, because that's the other guy. Yeah. Slapjack. He was Slapjack.
Slapjack.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Shane Thorne one time, and I think like somebody asked him, was like, what'd you think? I was like, dude, at the amount they were paying me, they can give me whatever the hell gimmicks they want. Like, I'm a team player.
I'll give you one. So two more actually that I think could happen. I think up until tonight, I thought Roxanne, but I think with Roxanne, they might do more of that main. I think Roxanne and Trick are going to get what Dragunov and Roxanne got, of just more main roster features with that championship. But I'll tell you who I think is going to be called up, and I'm worried this is going to be part of this Captain Howdy Wyatt thing. I think Joe Gacy. We haven't seen Joe Gacy. Did we see him last week? We didn't see him tonight.
It's so crazy. Like whenever he's on screen with Ava, it's like, you guys were in a faction together.
That's why he's secretly pulling the strings. Schism's in control of NXT. This is what I worry. You want to see, this is going to be the clip when they talk in 20 years about like how like the something failed. It's going to be the like, and now we're introducing the last disciple of Bray Wyatt, and Joe Gacy comes out looking all crazy. Like that's going to be in the highlight reel of like how this failed. So let's talk now about who gets called back to NXT. Give me 3 main roster names.
I'm gonna go with Final Testament.
Well, okay, no Final Testament and no Natalya, because she's basically on the NXT roster. Natalya's on every roster at this point.
That's so tough, because like if this was like a year ago, I would have said Apollo Crews. But considering the fact that he was in NXT a year ago, he got called up. I'm not gonna put him all the way back. Maybe someone like an Omos. I feel like Omos would be a good presence to have heading into the CW, where you have that. Maybe he can be a gentle giant or he can be a killer giant, but either way, I think they need someone just with the presence of an Omos on TV on a regular basis. He's not on Raw or SmackDown, so put him back in NXT.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about this idea, because I think it's more exciting when someone that's currently on TV comes back, but the problem is that tends to not happen. I mean, like, I think Mi Chin would be great. Man, like, she wrestles so well and just constantly gets jobbed out on SmackDown. She's really good. So I would love to see her get like a soft reboot of some sort.
I'm gonna go with another easy out because I think he belongs on TV on a regular basis, at least until his partner returns, and that's Ivar. I love that. I cannot wait to that match with him and Obafemi next week, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ivar win that North American Championship and stick around in NXT for a little bit longer, at least until his partner comes back.
Okay. What about Carmella comes back to NXT to win the championship she never got?
Oh, that's awesome. That'd be awesome. I mean, is she like training again, or is she?
I don't know. She's on the roster page.
Yeah. Even like Alexa Bliss. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on where these people live. I'm assuming Carmella lives in Pittsburgh. No idea about Alexa. I would think she lives in LA, because I know Ryan Cabrera. I don't know if he lives in LA, but I would see him in LA a lot back in the day. But yeah, I guess it just depends. But again, maybe flying out to Orlando once every 2 weeks, maybe it might be pretty easy for them. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see Alexa or Carmella back on NXT to, like you said, win a championship that they never won.
Yeah, something a little different. I'm saying who else? I'm trying to think like the non-obvious ones. The problem is a lot of times it's people that literally just got called up and it's not going so well, so they just go back to NXT, and it doesn't really mean anything.
Maybe like a Nikki Cross.
See, that's Do you think that's surprising enough, though? I mean, Apollo was like, at one point, I think it's got to be someone. I mean, Nikki had some pull behind her. I don't know. I think you want it to really mean something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it can't just be Kaden and Katana coming back
Yeah.
to NXT because most people aren't even aware that they left NXT.
I mean, they were in the battle royal yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Just looking at this.
Yeah, I'd have Ivar come back with Valhalla. I think Valhalla is great. I think she's phenomenal. I wouldn't mind seeing like where's Wendy Chu been up to?
Is she injured?
But it's been how long has it been?
I don't know. If, maybe her, Nikita, and Cora Jade are hanging out.
Yeah, maybe. I know Wesley should be back in a couple months, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
One call up I wouldn't be surprised to see is Gallus.
Really?
Yeah. Like what they're not doing anything on NXT. And it's Triple H seems to like factions of 3. So maybe kind of throw them in the mix going up against who knows, LWO or New Day.
Yo. Okay, the
especially
WWE
especially now that it looks like Imperium is no longer a threesome. They need a new European team to kind of replace that.
I think we will see. I mean, I can see Pretty Deadly coming back to NXT for a bit, although they've been using them for everything except wrestling on the main roster. I would love to see.
Talk about theme song. That's one of my. That's up there with Billy and Chuck's theme song is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is quite good. What about MVP? I'm going to predict MVP comes to NXT.
Well, yeah, he's going to come with Omos.
That would be good.
I'll tell you, we're going to see some serious star power in the summertime, especially for that the CW stuff. So I really think we're going to see Omos on a regular basis. I wouldn't even be surprised if Omos is the one to dethrone Trick Williams.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. Okay, interesting.
Calling it right now.
Omos is going to dethrone Trick Williams for the NXT Championship.
And do you think it's weird that they say "whoop that trick"?
There's a comma.
Yeah, I thought so. Because it's just so like his name's Trick, right?
Yeah, so when everyone says the whoop that trick, they're like, whoop that, you got to be the guy chanting, comma. Comma.
Or just comma. Pausing, whoop that trick. Whoop that trick.
Make a point like whoop that trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can figure it out. We just need a little punctuation.
So Omos with MVP. I think that's going to be great. I mean, if that happens,